Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're now past 200 subscribers, and I really appreciate everybody that has subscribed and watched the videos. Today we're going to be looking at the Kai, which is Keephifi, Hawaiian Bad Boys, most recent earphone. As you can see here, this is just a little unboxing that I did ahead of time. It's a really nice case that you get with it. Out of the box, the actual device looks really nice. Like, it's very shiny, pretty. The leather case is really nice for it. As you can see here, the cable is almost like a gel kind of material, and then you get little baggies over the end of it to keep everything clean and in good condition, so it doesn't get scratched up before you get it. You get a little cloth, and I think that's some kind of cleaning device. I'm honestly not sure exactly what that is. And you'll see coming up here, you also get a few different tips. I'll go over that in a minute to show you what the different tips look like, what that gives to you. Anyway, just wanted to do this while I was opening up everything. I appreciate you guys watching. There are a few different tips here, but I'll go over that in a minute. You do get a wide, and you also get a narrow bore. Anyway, looking forward to the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in just a second. Alright, y'all, now that we got the unboxing out of the way, I'm going to show you my thoughts on the new Kai in-ear headphones by Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews. First I just want to talk about the build quality a little bit. As you can see here, this cable feels, it's like somewhere between plastic and gel. I got to just be honest right off the bat, is that for a guy who's got so much attention to detail, and believe me, I love his equipment. As you can see here, I've got two of his others, the Mele and the Olina right here. I don't see this as a hater, I just don't get it, is that you got this collab with this cable that just sits like this, that's just, it gets all kinked up and it feels like it's plastic and like gel, and not a good start to it. I really like that case, but I don't know about this cable. It's fine once it's on your head, but I just don't love it. In the pictures, this looks like such a cool idea in terms of this case design. As you can see, I don't know if you can see the way that the colors are reflecting. Like, it's really neat, but the issue is that this looks a lot cooler laying on a table than it does in your ears. Like, once you can imagine you get this in your ears, it kind of looks like cheap jewelry or something that you would put on your head. It's flashy and not in a good way. And I say that not to give him a hard time about it. Like, laying here, these are beautiful, but remember too, you got to walk around with these, and it looks like it's just a little bit gaudy. And I didn't love the way that it looked in my ears. I do like it all comes together with the cable already as part of it, and they didn't waste a lot on the box, which is cool. But I thought this was going to be like a banger in terms of just the way that it looked and the color and the build. And you can tell the shell is really nice, but I actually think this looks a lot better on the shelf than it does on your head, for what it's worth. The fit is good on it. It fits kind of similarly to some of his others. If you see, I mean, this is a different design, but you kind of see it's not that much different than something like the Olina and the way that it's shaped. But anyway, I didn't have any issue with the fit. Once it gets on, I don't have any problems with the cable. I don't have any problems with how it sits, the build quality. It all seems nice. Although I will say that on anything on a hard table, like something like the blonde BL03s here, you can just throw them on anything and I really don't worry they're going to look any different. These feel like something I got to be careful. Like, if I was to drop this on pavement, I feel like it would be all scratched up or something. So just something to kind of keep in mind. That's all I'm going to do on the build quality. I'm always bugged when people sit there and talk forever about build quality. I don't think you came here to hear that. What I wanted to talk about is how this sounds compared to some of his other stuff and some of the other models I think out there that do similar thing. This is a bass-centric headphone that works really well for rock music especially. I did find that when you're listening to it with EDM or any kind of electronic music, the way that it presents bass is very accentuated, I guess is the best way to say it. This IEM for $80, I think it's a tough road because you've got the Arias and the 10T3 Plus, which are, you know, they're good options. I prefer the Titan S, which I'll eventually do a review on as well, but it doesn't have nearly as much bass. So I listened to this for a while. I listened to it with, you know, mostly hip hop, EDM, and rock, especially classic rock, because I know that's kind of his wheelhouse. And really tried to listen to the differences. I spent a lot of time with Fleetwood Mac, listening back and forth between this and different sets. A lot of The Weeknd in there. Some Elton John. I had just kind of a mix of pop, electronic, 90s hip hop and R&B, and then I went back to rock and classic rock because I kind of know that's his wheelhouse. I guess I should talk about the different tip options that I tried with it to try to get different sound. So right out of the gate, these are not the ones that come with it. They give you these narrow bore, but the ones that are automatically on it are a more wide bore and shallow fit. So I had to swap the mediums that came with it out for large versions of those. And I found that the sound was weird in that I found the bass to be boomy, not in a terrible way. It's not like a rattling your trunk kind of boomy, but more like there's still a strike in mid bass, but the sub bass almost sounds like it's bleeding over into other stuff where it's almost like a humming, a growl almost in the background in between. When I want the bass to just go away and then come back, it feels like it's always just kind of there, just kind of hanging around. And that subtle, like always buzzing, growly kind of thing is just something I don't enjoy because I feel like it makes your music more vague. It's now casting this bass veil kind of almost over everything if there's any kind of prominent bass in the track. And I feel like when it does that, then you lose a little bit of the detail of being able to tell what's happening. It's just kind of like this constant undertone of bass. So that was my initial impression with the wide bore, and the wide bore also it gives you a little bit of like an airy soundstage. It sounds a little bit airy, but also in like it's almost like in a fuzzy, almost distant, almost like low res kind of way. Like I almost felt like I was missing some of the details with it when I listened to those. And I think what it's going for is like a laid back sound, but what I got from it was almost like a lack of clarity. Like I'm really having to listen to hear some of the details in the vocal, and I like a laid back vocal presentation, but I don't like the idea that I can't hear everything, that the airiness almost makes it sound vague. So then I tried it with these ear tips. This is the other option that they give you in there. This is more of a narrow bore. I did like this better. This gives you more bass, and for me it tightened up the vocals where I could hear it in a way that I liked better. But like there's a lot of tracks, like I listened to a lot of the Weeknd tracks. I listened to a lot of Fleetwood Mac tracks, and just back and forth listening to the bass components of them. Using these and some of the other ones that are on the board here. And what I found is that it gives you more, like if you're somebody that you just want more bass out of a bassy set and you don't care about the tightness of it, you just like a little bit of bigger presentation, even if it gives you a little bit of boom, is cool with you. You may really like this. And especially in rock tracks where the bass is not electronic, but it's an actual instrument, it leads to just a bigger presentation, which can be pleasing to the ear. But the issue is that if you have a more eclectic taste and you like to listen to other music, I found that you got that growly, boomy thing happening. So it's funny, I'm not a huge fan of the spring tips, but I did buy some. It will tell you if you get some spring tips. For me, I had to buy a size up of what I normally would. Even the large spring tips didn't fit me well. I had to get the XL spring tips, and then they fit much better. I'll leave a link in the description from where to buy some spring tips that are the Moondrop ones that come with the chew. And I feel like those accentuate treble for me, and they reduce bass a little bit, or they reduce the wideness, the bigness of the bass. And for this set, I feel like that's good because I'll take all the bass you can give me, but I don't like listening to bass where it feels like it's bleeding and it's just kind of, it's vague. It's almost getting muddy at some point. And that's what I felt like with these. So once I put spring tips on them, I found that it seemed to calm them down some to where, okay, now I could hear my vocalist better. It felt like more clear. There wasn't quite as much airiness, but I could definitely hear the detail of the vocalist more. It seemed to present the vocalist more front and center when I used those. And it also reduced the boominess of the bass where it felt like I was missing some of it. And it wasn't perfect, but I prefer it with the spring tips where when it was reduced, I got the punchiness more and it didn't feel like I was getting as much low end, bleed into other things. Okay, but the issue with that is that I just described buying these for, I don't know, whatever they are, $80, and then another $15 worth of spring tips in order to get a cleaner presentation. It's still good, but the issue is that these guys still exist. Okay, I did a video for the Blonde BL03s. First, let me talk to you about the downsides of this. Okay, the build quality isn't great. You see this cable here? It's all like, when you first get it, and you can watch the other video to get more details of it, but when you put it in your ear, this thing almost wants to pull it out of your ear, so you get terrible seal. And on top of that, these aren't the tips that come with it. These are, which ones am I using here? Yeah, I'm using these Giganto tips on it. So the way that I use these is the tips that come with it don't give a good seal, and the way that this cable comes around, you see how it's all broken here? I'll explain that in a second. So the way that these come, they almost want to pull it out of your ear, and then the tips that come with them have no grip on them whatsoever, so they're just sliding out. So I thought that these IEMs were garbage out of the gate, but I started researching it and learning more about them, and eventually got to where I realized, see how broken this is? I can't even tell what side, yeah, I can't even tell what side that is anymore. Is that when they sit, okay, the first thing I had to do, and you'll see from back and forth here, is that because this thing basically makes it pull out of your ear, I had to go like this a lot with this cable to loosen it up, and eventually it just broke all together. So like, I wouldn't be afraid of like this part of it, just let it break. And that the cable is not very easy to replace. You can't just run out there and get any cable and plug it in because it's like a recessed jack, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of special. So you have to continue using this cable. This cable is not of the highest quality, but it's not terrible, but it feels kind of plasticky. It's not like, some of these feel like very nice. This definitely feels like plastic. Like it's not a super nice cable. And like I said, the tips that come with it are not very good, so you have to replace them. And I would say for these to also buy a size up, but buy these a size up because they're not going to sit as deeply in your ear. For me, what I do is to get a good tip or get a good seal, I bought these spin fits. I think these are the 100 pluses. I'll include a link to these in the description as well. And I bought a size up from what I normally do, because when these are sitting in my ear, again, it's kind of got this curve to it. So it sits there, but this is not a deep fit at all. It's a very shallow fit. So that when I have this, I get a good seal, even though it's not sitting super far in my ear. So I'm not constantly trying to push this inside of my ear to make the fit. So what I just described to you is you have to tinker. This is not super high quality. This cable kind of sucks, and you need to replace the tips. And then just kind of hope that, like me, once you get that all figured out, it's going to sound good. So this is like more for somebody who's willing to tinker a little bit. But the issue is that once I do that, like I mean, imagine you're walking around on a subway or something. This is just in your ear, right? It just looks like it looks like an equipment to do a job that you're trying to do. You're not attracting a lot of attention. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look good. It just kind of looks workmanlike, right? I mean, I bought purple for a little bit of flash. Like, it's kind of cool in a way in that, like, nobody's going to ever want to rip these off your head or make fun of you. I mean, they're just kind of a thing. They look like what they are, and they do their job. They look like a well-worn pair of shoes or something, yeah? I mean, these, imagine walking around with these on your head. It's just kind of, it's just a little gaudy, unfortunately. I mean, again, I think they're really pretty, but just once I looked in the mirror with these on my head, I was like, oh gosh, I don't know about that. So anyway, this you don't have to do any tinkering with. Like right out of the gate, you're in good shape, and you can just plug these in your ears and go. If you add the spring tips, you lose a little bit of bass, you get a little bit of clarity in the highs, and that's something that I really enjoyed. With these, you do have to tinker a little bit, but once you do, they sound really good. But once you get the spring tips on these to reduce the bass a little bit and to bring everything else forward, and then you make the adjustments I said with these tips on them, at least for my ears. Again, I gotta tell you guys, like, I don't know what your ears are gonna do. Maybe if you take my advice, like if you relate to me on how things sound on other things, then this is probably going to be the case for you as well. But everybody has different ears. Everybody's going to hear things a little bit differently. Like, I'm pretty sure I just have gigantic ear canals and really big ears, and that's part of why I hear things the way I do. If you have completely different ears, you may not hear them the way that I do, but I'm just talking to people that can relate to the way that I hear things. So these, I basically like how these fit and sound better than I do these. And these you can get for under $30, and these are $80. So that's tough, right? These present you with a bigger, thumpier bass, but it's more vague. Let's say more vague. It's more warm, and it's more boomy, I would say. It's not all thump, but it hits harder, but it kind of booms a little bit, and it can be a little bit distracting. The vocals on this also feel a little bit dark in comparison. So I know I said airy before, but so you can use the wider bore tips, and it gives you a more airy feel, but like I said, it almost feels like, it's almost like a touch of like a bad cell phone signal. Like you just feel a little bit, sounds just a touch, not huge, but just a touch out there. Like it's just, you can't quite hear it. But then when you put these guys on it, and I was listening to it that way, I started to get more darkness in the vocals, and that could be good, like if you're concerned about fatigue and you really want it to be laid back. But I just found it a little bit uninteresting, a little bit just, it didn't have any sparkle to it, and that bothered me. But you do get more bass with these if that's really just what you're after. With these, what I like is you get you get a big thumping, fun, punchy bass with it, but it's still punchy. It's not this just like this droning kind of, everybody's heard that sound, right? It's like the equivalent of like what you get when some car that drives by you and they're playing bass music and they're just by you. It doesn't have any of that. It's clear, it's punchy, it's interesting, and it's full, and it's fun, but it's not overpowering anything else. It's still giving room for the audio to breathe and for all your instrumentation to operate. It doesn't feel like it's bleeding into anything else. Now, you don't get quite as much color to the sound. It's not quite as warm and rich, but it does give you better clarity. And for me, it's just less, it just feels more natural, I guess is the best way to say it. It's still incredibly fun, and I love the punch of the bass, but in terms of the instrumentation and vocals, it just feels more true to life to me, and it's something I can just forget that I'm listening to these IEMs and just enjoy the music. Where these, it feels like it's trying to give me more, it's trying to give me more bass, it's trying to pull back the vocals, and it's fun, but it's not, I can't see why I would spend $80 on these when I can essentially do the same thing with under $30 from Linsol for a pair of these, and then I can just add some tips to them. Now, that being said, you may not want to tinker with these. You may think that these look like crap. You may think that these are just, cheapo, IEMs that just look like garbage. And if so, then this might be the move for you. If you like the way that this presents, you like the color of it and all that. If you want a blonde BL03 with bigger bass and potentially a softer vocal presentation, a kind of darker take on a blonde BL03, and you've been waiting for something to come out that will do that, because you don't like the build of the blonde 03, but you like how it looks, I'd say that this is an excellent option to go with. The only other issue I have too is that this is I didn't even think about this until I've been listening to these for hours, but this is the CCA CRA Plus. So the CCA CRA is one of my favorite IEMs, and this came out and it was supposed to be the Plus version, but then it turned out completely different driver, different tuning, different everything. So they were just kind of using the name. But this reminds me a little bit of this, and I actually like this a little bit better in certain ways. This has got big, rich bass in it, and it's got some of that same, clarity and detail. It's not exactly the same, but it is pretty close in the way that my ears hear it. And again, this is $30, so you're not going to get the kind of build quality that you get with these. This is like a real metal casing and just feels really nice. This is plasticky and it just kind of has a covering on it. But I'd say, to my ears, I could definitely tell the difference, but I don't know, within 10%, maybe 15, 20% tops. And this is like a $28 pair, and this is an $80 pair, and it presents sound very similarly. You get a little bit more hard-handed bass, I feel like, than you do with the blonde BL03. And I don't know, from when I was listening to music, they sound very similar. So if you're on a budget and you're interested in something like this, you may want to check out the CCA CRA Plus. Now, I prefer the original because I think it has a more unique sound. It's incredibly detailed, treble area, and it's got a very deep, bass, but it's a very clean, deep bass that's really interesting and unique. I don't find this to be quite as unique. It sounds like other IEMs, and I feel like this one does a little bit to the same extent too, is that, that the T3 Plus, something like that, it's in the vein of all these kind of similar IEMs. So why do I have this other stuff? So this, for one, to show you, I really like his products. I like Bad Guy Good Audio reviews. I watch all of his videos and I enjoy his equipment. I've bought his other stuff. I didn't buy the $500 set, but I bought these other ones and I use these all the time and I really enjoy them. So I'm not a hater. Like, I enjoy all this stuff, and I was expecting to love these, but I just don't. I can't sit here and tell you that I feel a way that I don't. So if you had $80, you could do something like buy the blondes here for $30 and buy the Mele's, which give you, this is also by him, and these are about $50, and these give you a different presentation, where these, for me, I like the bass better on these because it kind of does the same thing as these in the sense of it's giving you more bass. But with the Mele's, it feels big and rich and laid back, but not bloated and not muddy at all. Not like it's going into anything else. It feels like it's got its place in the IEM. It's giving you lots of bass, but it's not overpowering, and it knows where it stands, because then that rolls into the mids, which is like this very laid back mid presentation that you get, so that when you're listening to rock music, especially stuff that can be a little harsher, it presents everything in this really cool, thick, rich, laid back way that's really unique. And I don't have any other IEMs that sound like this. So if you wanted to spend $80, I'd buy these two, and then you've got two different takes and two different flavors for your rock and your rap music, that kind of thing. The Olina is completely different sound. These don't have nearly as much bass. I feel like they have better clarity, better detail, better in the sense that, like, if you really want to hear some detailed music and you use something that's fast, going to keep up and gives you all the details and clarity that you want, this is a little bit more of that. So I wouldn't consider this a competitor at all, or look at these, have anything to do with these, other than I just want to show you I have these, I enjoy them, I like his gear. I'm not trying to be a hater here. The last thing that I was going to talk about is just if there's part of me that the more that I try this stuff, I mean, the difference between a CCA CRA, which is like a $15 set, and then the CRA Plus, which is a $30 set, and some of these $50 sets, or like I said, these blonde BL03s are around $30. Like, or even the chews after I added the tips to them, there's not a huge difference in the quality that you're getting between a $20 or $30 set and the $70 sets. But once you start getting above that to like and I haven't used a million of them, I'm mostly concentrating on this lower end stuff. I haven't used everything, so I'm just going to tell you from my experience. But I have bought these guys here, which are the Obsidians by IKKO, and the OH10s. And I've also bought the S12s. And I feel like these are closer. So I made a video. I really like the S12s a lot. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd get them. But in terms of a spiritual successor, a spiritual big brother to these kind of sets, I feel like the IKKO is more there. And the big difference with the OH10s is that the way that it presents the music is nothing feels like it's in each other's lane. It feels like you're in a room and there's a subwoofer which is completely separate from all your tweeters, and you're getting complete clarity out of both, and there's not even a chance that anything crosses over because it's different. I know it has multiple drivers. I'm not big on the tech on that. I can't tell you exactly what's doing what, but I can tell you that the sense of separation and strength in it is really cool. It never feels like, oh, if I give it more, it's going to get overwhelmed, or this track is too busy for it. It can't keep up. Like, it feels like it's yawning at the music, like it can just handle whatever. And it does all of your everything separate for your bass and vocals and treble. At least that's the way that I hear it, and that's why I really enjoy these. In terms of testing, just for what it's worth, I did all my testing on a simple Apple dongle, and I do that because I think everything should be able to run off of an Apple dongle. Like, if it's an IEM, I should be able to run it off of one of these. This is one of the cleanest pieces of audio equipment that you can get. Sometimes I will test things on different hardware, but really when it comes down to it, you should be able to run it off of an Apple dongle if it's an IEM. I mean, on the go, that's probably what I'm most likely going to do. So all the testing that I did on this was with a straight Apple dongle with no EQ. So I didn't bother to try these with gaming because as I've tried more and more IEMs with gaming, you can actually pretty accurately tell what it's going to sound like with gaming just based on how you're hearing it with music. Does it have a large soundstage? Does it sound clearly instrument separated? Is the soundstage all on top of each other? Are you hearing clear instrument separation? Is it keeping up with details? Is there mud in the bass, or is there a sense of cleanliness and clear imaging? And if you can hear that with the music, you're also probably going to hear it with the IEM. So I did not test it, but I feel pretty confident in telling you that these are not going to be a great set of gaming IEMs. So I guess my conclusion is that I like these, but I don't think they have a place in my collection because honestly, like if I want to reach for something, I'd actually rather just listen to the blonde BL03s with the caveats that I gave you there. This is really nice, and if you want a better built blonde with a little bit more bass to it, and you don't mind a little bit of darkness in your vocals, and you want to use these, you can do that. I think that's all I got. This is a really nice set of IEMs that just don't have a place with me specifically. If you've got $80, you want something that's really well built, and you like the aesthetic of this, and you like the idea of a blonde with just more bass. You want something that has very big, powerful, slightly boomy bass that sounds really good for rock music, but maybe not perfect for some other genres like electronic music and stuff. This could be a good option. I just found that my trusty blondes, which are under $30, I actually prefer more, so it doesn't make sense for me. But I do appreciate you watching. I do really enjoy everything that Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews puts out. I enjoy every video that he does. I enjoy the equipment, and I think he genuinely cares and tries with the equipment that he has. And maybe there's a place for this in other people's collection, but just for me, I don't think it has a place in mine. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys being part of things. I appreciate getting to 200 subscribers. Anything that you could do to help out, just drop a note. I love to chat with people about this stuff. You want to put a note in the description. Holler at me on Reddit. I'm Hacking Hi-Fi at Reddit. You can drop me a note there. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you for watching.